name is Reese D'Amico, and my partner is Jordy Small, and today we'll be talking about the dark side of dating apps. To begin, our thesis is that online dating has become more prevalent in our modern day than ever before. With the current global crisis, forms of communicating and meeting online has reached an all-time high. However, dating apps, in contrast to other social media outlets, has risen the issue towards self-quantification. Through a never-ending swiping loophole of lost hope and validation, users become addicted to the search for gratification and an esteem boost through this platform. Our subtopics of research include the ethical and political issues, the gamification of the app, self-quantification itself between the users, and reliance on other forms of dating rather than in person. And you may be asking yourself, are dating apps considered a social media? The answer is yes. Bumble, the dating app, is actually considered an American social media company under Bumble Incorporated. The function of apps themselves include a left or right hot or not system where you judge people based off of their few photos and short bio to see if you are interested or not. Once you match, you have the option to message more. As you can see from the video, men actually tend to have it worse when it comes to dating issues with self-esteem. Women tend to brush it off a bit more, considering users are 70% made up of men and 30% made up of women. Therefore, they have way more options of fish in the sea. Politically, alongside the statistics shown on screen, Hinge has partnered with a non-profit organization called Rock the Vote last year in order to encourage voter turnouts. It is shown that, similar to Match, Tinder has also found that Gen Z users were more likely to include causes of climate change, social justice, and gun control in their bios compared to millennials, according to a survey that the company did this earlier this year. People also do not use the app for its real purpose, as they actually will go on and solicit about certain social topics, rather than using the app for its three main purposes: hookups, dating, or friendships. Moving along into ethics, we can see here issues of unity or separation. Tinder actually reinforces gender binaries by excluding others than just men and women. As well as Bumble introduces badges, which gives the options for users to display their psychographics of beliefs, interests, and values. Therefore, it segregates users based off of their political beliefs, their fitness level, their height, their smoking preferences, drinking preferences, and so much more. Meaning, the funnel vision and the echo chambers created by users' inputted data of their preferences of either what they do or what they prefer causes matches to be limited and filtered. Therefore, the option of women or men that they have is now limited. Again, specifically with Bumble, we can see that when you first download the app and start swiping, it tracks your swipes to be able to build a type preference that you have. Therefore, if certain genders or ethnicities are not displayed within that amongst it, it does not believe that your type is them. Therefore, it will segregate those users, even though you did not display that you do not like them. Here are two quotes from culturally diverse individuals, specifically Black people, who have experienced discrimination and racism against them amongst dating apps, which is a very large problem that we tend to be ignorant about. Moving along, we go to the ethic issue of catfishing, where people are so dissatisfied with their self-image or self-identity from this, trying to be the elite on the dating app. Therefore, they alter their image on via pictures in order to have an increased self-esteem and self-image towards the other people swiping on them, therefore objectifying them. Moving on to the gamification of the apps, the system itself is basically a roulette game where if you swipe right, they're hot, and if you swipe left, they're not. So judging just objectifyingly, you judge them based off of their first few pictures and their short bio without knowing any qualities about them. And if that wasn't enough, you have situations where people will ghost you and it will feed you craving more. They have bots that will message you to keep you reeled in, thinking you get that validation, but they're not real. You get the validation pop-up itself, wanting more and more and more matches and increasing that number, and you have the curiosity. By hiding your matches but showing you have them, it makes you want to pay for services and find out more, or just keep swiping to find out who they are. It keeps you reeled in constantly. Some would wonder what actually determines our matches. Is it our hotness or is it the system? It is actually the system based off an examination. Boy 1 or the elitist will be paired or matched with girl 2, which is a subpar individual, with a 70% chance rather than a 90% chance of a match to keep them swiping rather than them finding their perfect match right away. We then have influencers and figures who advertise these dating platforms as games. They talk about increasing your profile, increasing your bio, increasing your persona, your pictures to make you have the most matches, basically making the system a numbers game rather than actual value of finding love through the system. As well as other big companies, such as Jubilee, have videos for in-person swiping showing how easy it is to get matches, even though that on the app it is much more difficult than an in-person forced meeting. And if that wasn't enough, the app itself, Tinder, has a blog post where it shows, what are the perfect bios, basically signifying that yourself or, expressing yourself through a bio is not good enough. You need to have the perfect bio to get these matches.
Users have given dating apps the power to influence their self-worth and esteem. These apps become an addiction as the user becomes obsessed with gaining more matches. Users associate matches with their self-value, where they are quantifying their self based on the amount of matches they have. The more matches you have, the more desirable you are, the more attractive you are, and all those other positive attributes. That happy feeling a user gets when they match with someone feeds into this addiction, enticing them to continue seeking that feeling by using the app. Their confidence is gained in an unhealthy way, as their success on the app is what enabled them to feel confident, solely based on their physical appearance, rather than having pride in who they truly are. On the other hand, users feel discouraged and defeated when they aren't gaining matches, causing negative feelings of self-worth. The user then doubts their value, thinking they're not good enough. They only feel confident and satisfied with themselves when they feel wanted by others. Users enable these apps to dictate their self-value by feeling either validated by or unworthy of individuals that they do not even know. Being single is marketed as unappealing and associated with being undesirable. These apps reinforce the notion that you need to be in a relationship to be happy. They insinuate that you should be constantly looking for someone, intentionally overlooking the fact that one can be single and happy on their own. This further depreciates one's self-worth as it puts emphasis on their need to feel validated through someone else. Social media platforms constantly promote tips and guidance to help create the perfect profile. Commonly, rather than advocating to be yourself, they aim to show you how you should portray yourself on these apps, and thereby imply that you must follow their advice in order to be successful in gaining matches. These tips encourage altering your online persona to appear more desirable, regardless of whether or not it reflects your true personality, and further conveys to an individual that they are not good enough. They categorize the do's and don'ts, characterizing one's choices as good or bad. But why should they be the judge of this when a user's personal profile is based on their own preferences, which represent their personality? Pick the kind of person you want to date and market yourself to them. Puts emphasis on the other person, promoting that you need to appeal to them, rather than being yourself and finding someone who values you for who you are. Master the art of the perfect selfie draws increased attention to the app's significance of physical appearances. This can induce users to edit their pictures to create a supposedly flawless photo and supports their doubts that they are not good enough as they are. Include a full-body photo conveys the same explicit message that you are being judged on the attractiveness of your physical appearance. Have a friend revise your profile feeds into the narrative that your account should be carefully constructed and follow the input of others, irrespective of its accuracy to represent your candid self. Don't be boring, show you are unique to stand out. Further stresses that you are aiming to be appealing to others and you must prove that you are good enough and worthy of their attention, which feeds into quantifying oneself through their matches. Dating apps have changed the nature of the dating process for eternity. They have become so prevalent in society where a generation is relying on them to find relationships rather than naturally forming connections in person. They are now normalized as a go-to option for finding a new relationship, and for the most part, they have eliminated the past stigmas associated with meeting someone through an app. Considering these connections are instigated by a mutual physical attraction to one another, They are more likely to be surface level and don't prove true compatibility. You are not perceived in the same way that you would be by meeting that individual in person, as it eliminates the first impression aspect of an initial interaction and the potential feeling of a genuine bond with one another, both of which are dependent on the harmony of your personalities. Rather, their interest in you is solely based on their attraction to your physical appearance and neglects the factors necessary in finding a compatible partner. Dating apps are heavily marketed in order to induce a need for their apps and thereby create a reliance on them among users. They are promoted as facilitating the dating process, encouraging users to not just sit around and wait to meet someone in person when you could find someone using their app. They create an urgency to find a partner and market themselves in a way that they are helping you find someone quicker. This further emphasizes the negative connotations of being single and induces one to believe that they should be actively searching for a relationship. Companies benefit from this reliance that they have created among their users, as their profits rely on user engagement. The apps promote in-app purchases through claims that it increases your likelihood of gaining matches. They also benefit from access to ample amounts of data, which provides additional profitable opportunities. These apps feed into the potential vulnerability amongst single individuals and thereby take advantage of them by monetizing off of their need for a relationship, and they ensure that they reaffirm this need through their app's social media marketing initiatives. Ultimately, their purpose as a business is to continually reach profitability, and therefore, they reinforce the negative associations with single individuals and excessively promote relationships as a sought-after reality which one could have by using their app. Thank you for listening. We want to know what you think. Do you believe dating apps have changed the nature of dating mainly for the better by providing a platform for those seeking a relationship, and it connects individuals who would not have met otherwise? Or do you think that the dating process would have been better off with its traditional nature of forming in-person connections to naturally enter a relationship? As well, we would like to open the floor up to any questions and comments you may have. Thank you.